In the year 2048, Earth has become severely overpopulated and has nearly exhausted all its natural resources. To ensure humanity's survival, the government launches an ambitious program that involves genetically altering 14 soldiers who will be sent to Titan, one of Saturn's moons, to establish a new civilization. These 14 volunteers, along with their families, are relocated to a private neighborhood equipped with luxurious, high-tech homes. Among them is former pilot Rick, who arrives with his wife Abigail, a doctor, and their young son, Lucas. Dr. Collingwood, the head of the program, places high hopes in Rick's transformation. Rick's military record proves he's an exceptional survivor. During his time in the Air Force, his aircraft was shot down, forcing him to traverse the Syrian desert wounded and without food or water for 3 days. Both Rick and Abigail agree to participate in the program because they want a better future for Lucas, though Abigail admits to Collingwood that she's worried about Rick's health. Collingwood acknowledges that sickness may occur but assures her that proper post-treatment care will handle it. Once all participants have moved in, they attend their first meeting with Collingwood, officially beginning the project. He delivers a presentation explaining the reasoning behind the mission. Humanity has destroyed Earth, and Titan is the only place in the solar system with an atmosphere and a primitive ecosystem that might sustain life. However, Titan's environment is hostile. Its lakes and seas consist of liquid methane, its atmosphere is filled with nitrogen humans cannot breathe, and the extreme cold makes it uninhabitable. Rather than terraforming Titan, the plan is to genetically adapt humans to survive in its conditions. One volunteer expresses doubt, questioning how the human body will not reject the genetic alterations. Collingwood admits that although clinical trials were successful, survival is not guaranteed for everyone. The skeptical volunteer keeps pressing, prompting Rick to shut him down and tell him to leave if he's not willing to take the risk. The volunteers come from various countries, all chosen for having survived extreme conditions. After the meeting, each participant receives keycards granting full base access and proceeds to the laboratory for the first of 300 injections they will receive over the coming weeks. Dr. Freya tries to explain what each injection does, though Rick comprehends only half of it. Life settles into a new rhythm for his family. Lucas attends school, Abigail maintains the house, and whenever permitted, she stays by Rick's side through his treatments. The volunteers quickly bond and often gather for dinners and barbecues since they live as neighbors. Occasionally, their conversations turn grim, such as when one volunteer admits he's afraid they won't be allowed to return to Earth after their 2-year Titan mission. During one of their final barbecues before alcohol consumption is banned, the volunteers drink excessively. Later that night, Abigail feels dizzy from drinking, so Rick helps her upstairs. Yet he's the one who suddenly collapses, coughing violently and struggling to breathe. Abigail realizes he has a high fever, rushes him to bed, gives him medicine, and stays by his side through the night. Some time later, Collingwood is pleased with the DNA progression results and announces it's time for the first major test, a prolonged underwater endurance trial without oxygen tanks. After half an hour, only Rick and another volunteer named Tally remain underwater, turning it into a competition. Tally lasts 39 minutes, but Rick comfortably surpasses that, even swimming freely at high speed like a dolphin. The scientists are astonished, his movement no longer resembles a human's. That evening, Rick proudly demonstrates his new ability to Lucas in their backyard pool. Later, while tucking his son into bed, Lucas mentions his late grandfather, saying he would have loved witnessing this transformation. Afterward, Rick joins Abigail in the pool for a romantic moment, but she suddenly notices black veins spreading across his skin. Rick looks concerned, but the discoloration vanishes as quickly as it appeared, and Abigail decides not to dwell on it. A few days later, the volunteers undergo their first surgical operation. While waiting, Rayanne, the wife of another volunteer, visits Abigail with her children and confides that she's terrified. She doesn't believe her husband belongs in this program. Abigail reassures her, reminding her that the mission will save humanity and secure their children's futures. Rick emerges from surgery healthy and cheerful, though Abigail remains uneasy after reading the potential side effects listed in the manual they received. That night, Abigail wakes up to find Rick absent from bed. She discovers him in the kitchen, cooling his skin with ice because he feels unbearably hot. She fills a bucket with cold water, and Rick playfully suggests a challenge. They both submerge their hands, but while Abigail pulls out after a few minutes, Rick feels nothing, proving he's lost sensitivity to cold. The next morning, they go jogging together and stop at a scenic overlook with a breathtaking view. Rick laments humanity's failure to save Earth. The experiments continue with grueling intensity. The participants run while wearing masks simulating Titan's atmosphere and swim in freezing water for extended periods. Some can't handle the strain and withdraw early, but Tally is stubborn and insists on staying despite the pain. Rick teaches her meditation techniques to endure underwater. After one session, while the group showers, Rick notices his hair falling out, and Tally confirms she's experiencing the same. Suddenly, screams echo through the room. One woman suffers a violent seizure, vomiting blood. Despite the doctor's efforts, she dies, marking the group's first fatality. Later, the remaining volunteers gather to discuss the tragedy. Some express fear, while others remind them they always knew the risks. To cope, they break the no-drinking rule and share alcohol again. Outside, Rayanne consoles her shaken husband Zane, while inside, Abigail chats with Andrew, Tally's husband. He tells her about his love story with Tally and his wish to start a family. When Tally joins them, she admits Andrew believes her 2-year Titan mission will fix her and make her a proper wife, but she desires far more than that. During dinner, Abigail observes that several volunteers have dark veins briefly appearing under their skin. Suddenly, a scream erupts from outside. Zane is having a psychotic episode and violently attacks Rayanne. The men rush to restrain him while Abigail helps Rayanne escape. The next day, Dr. Freya delivers extra medication designed to prevent the same symptoms that affected Zane and the deceased woman. Abigail notices the unusually high doses and asks to speak with Collingwood, but he's unavailable. That evening, Rick vomits blood. Abigail comforts him and secretly collects a sample. While securing the house later, she discovers hidden surveillance cameras installed everywhere. The program staff has been watching them constantly. When Rick swims again, he notices his skin peeling but remains calm. At bedtime, Abigail is horrified to see how much hair he's lost and how unhealthy his skin looks. Examining his blood under a microscope, she discovers it's turning black. Soon, the volunteers undergo another procedure, surgery to give them cat-like eyes, enabling night vision. The operation succeeds, though Rick must keep his eyes bandaged while his family assists him around the house. One night, Abigail hears Rick groaning in agony as blood seeps from beneath the bandages. He's rushed back to the lab for emergency surgery. Abigail confronts Collingwood, demanding answers and revealing she knows about the hidden cameras. She also insists that something living is growing inside Rick. Collingwood explains the cameras were a Pentagon order for security, not his choice, and that temporary blindness is part of the transformation process. Rick will recover soon. Abigail suspects he's withholding information, but he dismisses her. While she's packing clothes for Rick later that night, sirens blare outside. Abigail rushes out and finds the military surrounding Zane's house. Before she can get closer, she witnesses Zane, now monstrously mutated, throwing Rayanne through a window, killing her instantly. The soldiers storm in and gun Zane down. At the base, Abigail tends to Rick when more soldiers arrive. Seizing the distraction, she steals his access card and sneaks into Collingwood's office. There, she finds classified files revealing the truth. The volunteers' DNA is being fused with animal DNA to evolve them into a new species called Homo titanians. Meanwhile, Collingwood faces Colonel Solano and NASA officials, who accuse him of conducting unethical experiments, comparing them to Nazi science. They insist the project be terminated, but Collingwood argues that the Ministry of Defense has final authority, so they'll continue unless officially ordered to stop. Even Freya pleads with him to halt the trials, but he refuses. When Rick is discharged, Collingwood accompanies him home, explaining that his sight will return in 24 hours. Zane's mental collapse, he says, was caused by a miscalculation of how the human brain adapts to enhanced senses. A new surgery might prevent similar failures. Abigail, fed up, demands full transparency. Collingwood finally confesses that they've been injecting animal DNA into the subjects. He acknowledges the risk but insists they all consented knowing potential dangers. Rick must proceed with the next procedure to survive. The following day, Rick removes his bandages and confirms his sight has returned. To avoid patchy hair loss, he shaves his head completely. That night, he marvels at his newfound ability to see perfectly in darkness and calls Collingwood to confirm he's ready for the next phase. While the families remain at home, the volunteers are prepped for another round of surgery. This phase proves extremely dangerous, many complications arise, and most participants do not survive the procedure. When it ends, only Rick and Tally remain alive and in good health. The next day, Andrew, Abigail, and Lucas visit Rick and Tally at the base. They are horrified to discover that both survivors have undergone drastic physical changes. They've become mutated, almost alien beings who can only communicate through touch and low-frequency sounds inaudible to human ears. Rick places his hand against the glass wall separating him from his family. Abigail bursts into tears, and her grief deepens when Collingwood solemnly hands her Rick's wedding ring. In a few days, Rick and Tally will depart for Titan, but until then, they are allowed to stay in their homes. Rick struggles to adapt to normal human activities, even putting on clothes feels unnatural. When Abigail tries to help him, he accidentally strikes her due to his new physical strength. Horrified by what he's becoming, Abigail recoils from him. Rick spends most of his time in the pool, finding comfort underwater where his altered body feels natural. One night, after putting Lucas to bed, Abigail looks outside and sees Tally entering the yard with her hand covered in blood. Rick approaches her calmly, and the two begin to communicate using strange tentacle-like appendages extending from their fingers. Before Abigail can react, military vehicles surround the neighborhood. Soldiers storm into Andrew's house and discover his dead body in the shower. They quickly move toward Abigail's home. Panicked, she grabs Lucas and hides upstairs. Outside, soldiers open fire on Tally with tranquilizer darts, but it takes several shots to subdue her. When they approach, Tally suddenly springs to life and kills one of them using her tentacles. The rest immediately retaliate, shooting her dead. The team then turns to Rick. He easily overpowers the soldiers, knocking several unconscious. When one persists, Rick drowns him in the pool. Abigail hears the chaos and rushes out, begging Rick to stop, but it's too late. Realizing what he's done, Rick flees into the night. Colonel Solano orders his men to capture Rick alive, but when Collingwood pleads with him not to kill Rick because he's valuable research, Solano ignores him. Abigail and Lucas are taken to the base for safety, but Abigail soon slips away, knowing exactly where Rick would go. She reaches their special lookout spot, the same place they used to visit on runs, and finds Rick there. She approaches slowly, extending her hand to show she's no longer afraid. When Rick's tentacles wrap around her wrist, she gently kisses him. At that exact moment, Army helicopters locate them and fire tranquilizers, knocking them both unconscious. Abigail later wakes up at the base with Collingwood by her side. He tells her she's safe and that the sedation was for her own good. The Pentagon has decided to shut down the project, but before they do, they must send Rick to Titan. Tally's death has proven that the Earth's atmosphere either drives these new beings insane or kills them outright. The problem is they can't force Rick to leave. Doing so could also kill him. Collingwood insists Abigail must convince him voluntarily. Abigail is escorted to Rick, who's imprisoned in a transparent containment chamber. Collingwood hands her a syringe filled with quetiapine, a drug that functions as a chemical lobotomy, erasing memory and personality. Abigail is horrified, but Collingwood explains it's the only way to make Rick compliant enough to leave for Titan. A soldier retrieves the injection from a drawer and gives it to her, but she deliberately drops it so he has to pick it up again. When she enters the chamber, Rick looks at her with understanding. She gives him the shot, and he collapses, apparently sedated. When she exits, the soldier takes the syringe back while Abigail asks Dr. Freya to accompany her somewhere. As the soldiers begin preparing Rick for launch, one of them bends over to check him, but Rick suddenly grabs the man and kills him. Collingwood realizes, too late, that Abigail never injected the quetiapine. When the soldier had bent down, she had secretly switched the drugs, giving Rick a saline injection instead. Chaos erupts. Soldiers open fire, but Rick retreats into dark corridors, using his superior night vision to outmaneuver them. Meanwhile, Abigail races to find Lucas. She and Freya meet up with Rick again, who's severely wounded but alive. Abigail and Lucas embrace him, showing they're no longer afraid. Freya searches for medical supplies, but more soldiers soon arrive. Collingwood orders them to fire, but Solano steps in front of his men, refusing to shoot two unarmed women and a child. He aims his weapon at Collingwood, and the other soldiers follow suit, turning on the scientist. Collingwood is placed under arrest as Abigail rushes to Rick's side. Her touch helps him recall his most cherished memories of their life together. Some time later, Abigail and Freya continue their work as researchers, developing the Titan II project, this time through ethical science focused on protecting life instead of exploiting it. Meanwhile, Rick has successfully reached Titan, where he fully embraces his evolved form. His new body now possesses wings, allowing him to soar freely through Titan's orange sky, beginning humanity's next chapter on a distant world.